You're watching Central Illinois' best source for news and weather. WAND News Today starts now.
The final showdown. With the election less than 2 weeks away, we'll look at the major takeaways from last night's debate, what both candidates want voters to know today. Plus, tightening restrictions. One region now pushed further back as cases of COVID-19 continue to surge, how Central Illinois is holding up this morning. But first, the final presidential debate is in the books. And as Alice Barr shows us, it featured far fewer interruptions and more discussion of the issues than the last one.
In their final debate and last chance to reach tens of millions of voters at once, President Trump and Democrat Joe Biden more civil than their first matchup, but still waging a war of words and ideals.
If he's elected, the stock market will crash.
The idea that the stock market is booming is his only measure of what's happening.
Biden tried to prosecute the case that President Trump has failed to protect the country from the COVID pandemic that's claimed more than 220,000 American lives.
Anyone who's responsible for that many deaths should not remain as president of the United States of America.
Say we're learning to live with it. We have no choice. We can't lock ourselves up in a basement like Joe does.
The president tried to shift attention to Biden's son Hunter and unverified claims about his business dealings.
His son, his brother, and his other brother are getting rich.
He doesn't want to talk about the substantive issues. It's not about his family and my family. It's about your family. And your family's hurting badly.
The president got Biden to make a major concession on the oil industry.
Would he close down the oil industry? Would you close down the oil industry?
By the way, I would transition from the oil industry, yes.
Oh,
I will
that's
transition.
a big statement.
Biden hitting the president hard on immigration and the child separation policies.
And now they cannot find over 500 of sets of those parents, and those kids are alone. Nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. It's criminal.
And this sharp exchange on racial justice.
With the exception of Abraham Lincoln, nobody has done what I've done.
Abraham Lincoln here is one of the most racist presidents we've had in modern history.
A climactic showdown between the president and the man seeking to unseat him in less than 2 weeks. In Nashville, Tennessee, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Following the debate, the GOP released a statement praising the president. The party says he dominated the debate by highlighting his accomplishments from his presidency. On the flip side, the Democratic National Convention congratulated Biden on his performance. The DNC called for everyone to vote and make a plan. And after last night, it's all over. There are no more debates. And then in less than 2 weeks, as we've been saying, America will choose who will be president. WAND's Tristan Hardy and a collegiate debate team director break down what we saw in last night's performance.
I want you to give me your initial impression of Thursday's debate compared to the first one.
This debate really could not have been more different. The candidates have been much more civil with each other. There have been very few interruptions of each other or the moderator. Both candidates are allowed to have their first 2 minutes of the response without interruption, and having the other person muted has certainly made it a more informative debate for the American people.
And we will begin with the fight against the coronavirus. President Trump, the first
I want you to tell me something that you teach your students that was applied during Thursday's debate.
So I talked with my debate students specifically about the idea of framing. And what I mean by framing is you're trying to control how the audience sees the issue so they agree more with your position. So for example, on the COVID pandemic, President Trump has tried to focus on the economic recovery and on a potential future vaccine because those are areas where he sees himself as a stronger candidate. Where Joe Biden has been much more focused on the frame of what people are going through right now and what steps can we take to respond to the crisis before a vaccine is ready. And he's tried to be more empathetic in doing so. And those are two totally different frames on the same issue. And if you agree with the frame of a candidate, you're much more likely to support them and agree with their policy.
Lead the country during this next stage of the coronavirus crisis. 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Here's one thing I do want to know. How would you describe President Trump and former Vice President Biden's debate style?
President Trump is a very aggressive debater. He definitely seems more comfortable when he's attacking his opponent. Vice President Biden, he wants the audience to feel as though he understands their concerns, so he tries to come across as empathetic.
I'm not going to ask you who won tonight's debate, but I do want to ask, how should people determine who won a debate?
Well, really, it's about whether you agree with the vision that the other candidates or that the candidates on screen are portraying. And one thing we can certainly say about 2020, even with all the uncertainty around, is that President Trump and former Vice President Biden have laid out very different visions of where the country will be over the next 4 years. And as someone watching the debate, if you're undecided, what you have to do is imagine what those different futures will look like and which one do you prefer, which one do you feel more comfortable with. Really, a debate is more subjective when it comes to that because it's each individual who's watching it and seeing what do I agree with and what do I not agree with. And really, that's how an individual has to make their choice.
Remember, early voting ends November 2nd, and it's also not too late to request a mail-in ballot. You have until next week to do that. And you can also register and vote on Election Day. A polling place mix-up. Some voters in Springfield received this postcard. At first glance, it looks normal, but upon closer inspection, it has the wrong polling location listed. Sangamon County Clerk Don Gray says the mistake was just a simple error. He says he's ensuring voters in Sangamon County can feel confident when going to the polls.
Remember, elections are run by people. Sometimes errors do happen. I'm a big proponent on how it is that you handle the error. We quickly identified it. We articulated it to the public. We've put in place measures in order to inform them to the new details. And hopefully, that will provide confidence in the voter.
Corrected postcards will be mailed to affected voters. Anyone in Sangamon County who is still confused on where to vote should call the county clerk's office. Tougher restrictions are coming to the Metro East region. The region was already under COVID-19 restrictions once, but those policies were lifted due to improvement in positivity rates. The Rockford area is already under increased restrictions right now and will also be getting tougher rules as well. Governor J.B. Pritzker is defending those moves, saying they are meant to protect people and save lives.
Just like stoplights and seatbelts make our roads safer for everyone, or banning smoking from airplanes and restaurants when science demonstrated the harms of secondhand smoke.
Governor Pritzker says the state wants to return to normal as quickly as possible, but he says that can't happen until people limit the spread. And here's a look at our regional metrics. Region 3 includes Sangamon County and a lot of our western counties. Its positivity rate is just below 7.5%. And Region 6 includes both Macon and Champaign counties and a lot of our eastern counties. Its rate is 7.5% on the dot. You can see a full breakdown of county metrics on the IDPH website. And here are some of the latest local COVID-19 case numbers in our viewing area. Sangamon County reported more than 100 new cases yesterday. Champaign County added 44 new cases, and Macon County tallied 60. To see a full list of cases, deaths, and recoveries county by county, just go to our website, WANDTV.com. Still ahead, finding hot spots where the CDC says COVID-19 problem areas are likely to pop up, and how experts are working to predict where the next hot spots may be. And then later, he almost had it. A quarterback stumble leaves fans at a loss for words. How this play set the tone for an NFC least battle last night. And here's a quick look outside this morning. All is dark and quiet across central Illinois. It feels great out there. Later today, maybe not so much. That cold front's going to be moving through. Anthony will time out our rain chances and when you are going to need that umbrella after the break.